about Arthur and Hope in this last episode. I spoke with Arthur and had a video come out a few days ago where he was talking about his side of the last episode. So check that out if you haven't already. But now I want to talk about what I was seeing and my opinion of everything. So we first start off with Arthur and Hope, and they're hanging out in the high rise, and Hope has this bookshelf she wants Arthur to put together for her. He's sitting there putting it together. I could tell he was feeling overwhelmed with all the cameras on him while he's trying to figure out how to put this damn bookshelf together. But either way, he was able to get it figured out. And while he was finishing it up, he decided to ask Hope about these pictures he found in her closet. So apparently she ended up leaving for a little while. He went into the closet to get some of his clothes, and he picked up some picture, and it was a picture of Hope and one of her exes. And he revealed when I last spoke with him that this was a dude that was at Hope's mom's house. And he said, I already knew what it was because Hope always brought dudes over to her mom's house when she wanted to hook up with them. And he felt very upset about it. And one thing I've learned about Arthur is he really tries to put on a tough exterior, like he's not bothered. But he's one of those people that are very sensitive. He wears his heart on his sleeve. And you could tell that that was really hurting him to see that. He's so used to having to act all hard and not show any signs of weakness in prison. And now he's out here in the free world and having trouble adapting. And he even admitted that he's institutionalized and trying to figure out how to deal with life on life's terms. Hope was like, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just rip it up? And he's like, well, it shouldn't even be there to begin with. And she's like, I'm sorry, baby. And next thing you know, she wanted to take him to the fabric store to get some stuff so he can try to start sewing and starting off or kicking off his designer career. That's one thing I appreciate about Hope is she pushes him to chase after his dreams and tries to help him figure out how to get there. And so they go to the fabric store, they're shopping, Arthur's in his element, finding all these fabrics and getting excited. And next thing you know, Hope gets a phone call and she has to sneak off and talk on the phone. And it was her sister and they're just joking around, and Arthur walks up and he's like, babe, who's that? And she just completely ignores him. And he keeps asking her, and she's just pretending like he's not even there, like he's freaking Casper the Ghost or something. And finally, she's like, yeah, I gotta go ahead and get off the phone. And then once she hangs up, finally does she address Arthur. And you could tell that made Arthur feel some type of way. And he's like, I don't understand why you don't want her knowing that I'm here. You won't let me talk to her. I'm in my element. This is the best time for her to see me. And Hope's just like, nope, I don't think it's time yet. And I just feel like that really bothered him to get that kind of rejection from her. Now he's fully starting to question his position and the role he plays in Hope's life. And another thing I forgot to point out, I think Arthur is starting to second guess how attracted he really is to Hope. That's just what I'm getting from the way he was looking at her this episode, how he was looking at her in the car and the furniture store. It reminds me kind of like, I don't know, like if you've ever had like a one night stand and maybe you were drunk or something and you had like the beer goggles on, and the next morning you sober up, you wake up and that person's next to you in bed and you don't even recognize them. That's how I feel Arthur was looking at Hope this entire episode, and that he can't trust her. And she ends up taking him back to the apartment. And they're sitting there talking, and Hope's telling Arthur that he needs to start talking about things that are bothering him, because she says, look, if you just bottle them up, they're going to come out in the worst ways when you least expect it, and it's not going to be good. And Arthur, he all of a sudden got very upset. He started breaking down crying, and he got up, stormed out of the apartment, went outside, and he was having a full episode. He said he thought the construction workers were demons. He thought everything, all the lights were just blurring together. He thought he was about to go to hell and he was about to die. And the producers ended up calling his mom and putting the phone up to him, and you could tell he was uncomfortable at that point talking to his mom, and it really seemed like he wasn't ready at that point to talk to her, but the producers were just trying to do anything to get him to snap out of it, because Hope tried coming down and talking to him, and he didn't even want to talk to Hope. It seemed like he wouldn't give her a hug. She's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" He's just staring at her with this blank stare. Maybe he was trying to figure out why it looked like she was wearing a diaper in the back, but he didn't have anything to say. And once the producers put him on the phone with his mom, after a few minutes of awkward silence, he finally started to talk and kind of come back to it, but he still wasn't ready to talk to Hope and, you know, go into her arms like she was pushing him to. At that point, I feel like she should just gave him space. I know she doesn't know what to do. This is new to her, so she's just trying to do what she thinks is best in that situation. But I think the man just needed space and a break at that time. And the producers ended up making the best call, and they stopped filming with him for a while, and they offered him mental health treatment. And that's something we need to see more of from Sharp Entertainment, like with the whole Michael and Angela from 90 Day Fiance. I feel like there's plenty of times they should have offered Michael mental health services or stepped in and intervened, and I think this was a good situation for them to intervene with here and give the man a little bit of a break. And what makes me even more upset is, you know, Arthur is currently in jail after he claims that Hope tried to shoot him and accidentally ended up shooting herself. But he revealed that before this incident, she had pulled out her gun on him and smacked him in the face with him, like pistol whipped him in the face. He said that this happened while they were in the middle of filming. I don't know if it was caught on camera or not, but it was during the month that they were filming, and he claims this is why the producers starting to distance themselves from Hope and Arthur, and then she allegedly turns around and pulls another gun on him. Like, the last thing you want to do to somebody, especially after we saw the mental state he was in this last episode and how vulnerable he is, the last thing Hope allegedly needed to do was pull out a gun on that man. I don't even think it was a good idea for her to have a gun in the house, but maybe she was starting to feel scared after like this episode and thought, hey, maybe I should just be safe, or maybe she carries it because she's a truck driver. And I think it's so sad because we see people like Arthur, they go to prison and they don't give them any kind of tools to better themselves, so they come out the same people or even worse than before because they're traumatized and broken from what they went through in prison. And I just wish there were more resources to help pour into these inmates that really have mental health issues. And I just don't think Hope understands, and she's not equipped to handle somebody like Arthur. I feel like he would have had a completely different outcome if he just would have went back and lived with his mom. I hope when he does